What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video today, doing a very long and requested one, and for that I apologize. Alright, we're finally getting to it. I apologize for my cat in this video because he's going to be bouncing all over the place, but we're going to get through this thing. One take, one go. This is it. We're not going to do any small talk here, diving right in, starting at our number 8 for the Saw films. The only one that I would truly say is a bad movie. And I mean that wholeheartedly. There are weaker ones in the franchise. This one is the only one I say is truly bad. That being Saw 7, the final chapter. Saw 7 is a complete mess. You know, I remember back in 2010, it's probably the only the only movie I got to see in theaters for the franchise so far, until Spiral comes out, which we'll mix into this ranking list later when it comes out and see where it places. But Saw 7 was so... The 3D, first of all, is a mess, and it's really annoying. And it's not one of those cool 3Ds that just gets you more immersed. It's one of those 3Ds that, like, distract you the whole time and are unnecessary. Also, it got too far in the gore. They went too far. They need to hold back with it. Just, no. It was too much. I didn't really enjoy it. And not to mention the whole Dr. Gordon thing. That was hinted at for years. There were YouTube videos on it about how, wow, maybe Dr. Gordon's still alive and he's joined John Kramer and like all these things. Well, that big exciting relief that could have happened with the final chapter didn't happen because they totally spoiled it ahead of time, showing him in the trailer, showing him on the casting on IMDb, and the fact that he was back, and it was ruined. The whole movie, the one thing you could have helped save that movie a little bit so we'd at least talk about it still, was ruined. So, that's my thoughts. A bit of a mess there. Moving on to our number 7, Saw 4. You know, the thing is, and I'll talk about this more later as we get to it. I got hair in my nose, my cat. We'll talk about it when we get to it, but Saw 3 builds up to 4 so well, and it's a huge change dynamic in terms of characters and how you relate to John Kramer and Amanda. And Saw 4 kind of takes that and just really slows it down. Again, a landslide better than Saw 7. I think we can all agree with that. But it is just still a much slower movie and a little bit harder to get to. And in fact, most people forget about which one Saw 4 is because you think it kind of mixes in with Saw 3 as like their one movie. Saw 3 is definitely the one that is much better in terms of 4, and 4 kind of just stays at the bottom. Which brings me to my number 6, that being Jigsaw. Jigsaw, for a lot of people, is probably last on their list, and I hear you on that. I totally do. But Jigsaw, to me, was held up high by one man and one man only, and that was Tobin Bell. Tobin Bell did a great job, and, you know, it was nice seeing it in that prequel environment. It was nice seeing it in that prequel environment like that, and that was pretty much the only thing you could do to really keep Tobin involved, and I respect that. Alright, so Tobin was interesting. It was cool seeing him healthy before he got, you know, beaten down by the cancer, basically. And yeah, I think it's a bit of a fun film, cool trash, but all the characters really do kind of suck. You don't really relate to anybody, and it's not nearly as good as some of our good half of this franchise list. But Jigsaw, much better than I thought it was going to be because I saw the reviews before seeing it, and the reviews were bad. So I'm like, oh well, I'll avoid it for a while. But when I did finally see it, I actually enjoyed it a lot more than I thought I was going to. So, not bad. Number 5. This is where things start to get tough for me. But for me, it's Saw 3. Now, Saw 3, again, I told you, there's a huge change in character dynamics with Saw 3. You really start to... You go from never at any point enjoying or relating to the characters of John and Amanda. Maybe a little bit towards John because of him being a cancer patient, being like, hey bro, like, I learned what it was like to love life, but not so, but you still kind of hate him, alright? Saw 2 kind of makes you pissed off at him, and Saw 1 definitely does, and you definitely get that with Amanda 2 at the end of Saw 2. But then you just see how hurt both of them are and how passionate they are about each other, and put that into action, along with a decent character, like new character plot on the side too. I think Saw 3 is a pretty good movie. I enjoy it a lot. And like I said, it kind of ruins Saw 4. It makes Saw 4 look a lot worse than it probably is because Saw 3 was so strong when it came to characters. And I enjoy that about it. Moving on to our number 4. Okay? This is where I start getting a little conflicted because I wasn't sure if I was going to put it in the top half. But Saw 5 makes a top half. And I think the reason I like it so much is because I like the good cop, bad cop dynamic that comes from Strom and Detective Hoffman. I think that's a lot of fun. You have that drama that plays out throughout all the film, but then you also have probably the best like murder house situation where you have to go through multiple traps in the whole Saw franchise. And there's some legitimate heart-wrenching moments in Saw 5. So I dig that part of it. It's a lot of fun for that reason, and I like Strom a lot. So seeing the man go the way he does cuts deep, but I enjoy that dynamic throughout the film, which is why it makes it to the top half of the list here. Bringing me to my number 3, Saw 6. Saw 6, what a pleasant surprise. You're coming off, for some people, you probably hate 3, 4, and 5. 1 and 2 are usually mutually agreed upon and pretty good. Then 3, 4, and 5 are just kind of there. 6 was a pleasant comeback. Not only do you go back to what felt like the OG Saw, because like I said, 3 changes that character dynamic. You start to relate more to Kramer and Amanda, and then Hoffman throws a big screwdriver in the mix. But that changes. You no longer focus directly on them as you get to 6, and you get a really cool trap, and not to mention you're following people that all benefit and make a career out of taking money from your middle and lower class in terms of like mortgage investments and things like that. So you see those people in that dynamic, and it's like, I don't know, it's more fun to watch, I guess, and it's interesting to see how they're going to deal with those situations. But yeah, Saw 6 is just an all-around decent film. Cool trap, cool twist. Well, cool ending. I'm not going to say really a twist, but cool ending, and a lot of fun throughout for sure. You can sit down and throw that one in at any time and have a lot of fun with it. Now, moving on to our number 2, which is probably fairly obvious. Of course, it being Saw 2. Now, Saw 2, this one eats away at me, alright? There are moments in Saw 2 where I feel the pain. I feel what they're going through, and it's very real to me. Like, the whole prisoners being locked in a house, stuck with a detective's son. I mean, that already is a really tough dynamic, but then when you have people that tough and willing to take that much pain inside of a house, it really, I feel it. I feel the violence. It's very real, because when they hit each other the way they do, that adds a whole other dynamic beyond just the traps themselves. A lot of fun in there, and it's also pretty brutal. And it's not the kind of brutal like Saw 7, just gore in my face for no reason. It's like very real. Like the nail baseball bat to the back of the head, the syringes inside of Amanda, like real shit. Okay, and it gets me every time. A lot of fun to have in Saw 2, not to mention a really cool twist. A twist that I honestly don't think I've ever seen anybody that I've watched it with guess what's going to happen. So, I'm just saying, I respect that very much so. To come off of Saw 1 with a massive twist, one of the best twists, and I would argue in cinema history, and to still pull off another good one in Saw 2, well done. Well done, and deserves a number 2 spot. And of course, at number 1, you knew it was going to be there. Saw 1, the OG, directed by James Wan, written by Leigh Whannell, and starring Leigh Whannell. Of course, it was bound to be good. We didn't know that then. We didn't know it, 2006? We didn't know it back then. James Wan was just kicking off his career with Saw. But now, looking back, of course it has to be good. And it takes a number 1 spot for good reasons, alright? The thing with the original Saw, it's fairly low budget. It's a fairly low budget film. But they take that budget and run with it. It was only shot in 17 days. Most of the film takes place in one room, despite some flashbacks or chase scenes. Chase scenes are done in a way that, it's just, these car chase scenes are very simplistic, but they're edited in a way, and they were smart when it came to editing, because there's a lot of edits that cover up how easy it was to shoot those scenes and how cheap they really are. A lot of fun. And like I said, one of the best twists in cinema history. The fact that he just gets up off the floor at the end is genius. I remember the first time I saw it, it blew my freaking mind. It was so cool, so creative, and not to mention you also really enjoy the characters of Adam and Dr. Gordon, their dynamic, and watching that play out over 90 minutes, definitely a good time. But hey, that's my thoughts. Please let me know your rankings in the comments below. Just have a fun discussion about it. No need to fight about it, alright? Just fun discussion. That's all. That's going to wrap today's video. If you enjoyed, make sure you drop a like and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this one. And if you really enjoyed, consider becoming a member for just $2. A ton of exclusive content that comes with that. More and more coming, especially with Friday the 13th this week. I'm just saying. Click the link in the description below. And of course, as always, thank you guys so much for watching. And we'll see you next time.